The signal arrived on a Tuesday. It crackled through every radio frequency on Earth simultaneously, a voice smooth as polished chrome, dripping with the kind of amusement that only comes from a species that has never truly been afraid of anything. Attention, inhabitants of the third planet. We are the Vreth Collective. We have observed your world for 11 of your decades. Your gravity is mild. Your atmosphere is thin. Your biology is fragile. Your planet is too weak to be considered a threat. We come not to conquer. Conquest implies effort. We come simply to collect. Then silence. Then every screen on Earth lit up with the image of a sleek silver fleet, 40 vessels the size of small moons, hanging just beyond the orbit of Mars. In a NORAD bunker buried beneath the Colorado Rockies, Sergeant Jack Mercer leaned back in his chair and stared at the ceiling for exactly 3 seconds. Then he cracked his knuckles. "All right," he said to no one in particular. "Let's see what they think of us in January." Jack was not a scientist. He was not a diplomat. He was a man who had grown up in Minnesota, who had survived 2 tours in the Kandahar Mountains, who had once changed a tire in a North Dakota blizzard with bare hands because his gloves had blown into a ditch. He was the kind of human being that evolution had stress-tested over 10,000 years of brutal winters, failed harvests, and ice ages, and he looked at the alien fleet on the monitor the same way he had once looked at a frozen fuel line at -40, as a problem to be solved. His commanding officer, General Okafor, entered the room. "Mercer, you're being assigned to the first contact response team." Jack nodded slowly. "What's the weather forecast for the landing zone?" "Northern Manitoba. They've chosen it themselves. Open tundra, easy approach. Temperature is -38 Celsius tonight. Wind chill brings it to -52. Jack smiled. It was not a warm smile. "Perfect," he said. "Let them come." The Vreth Collective's lead explorer was named Amy, or rather, her name was a vibration of ultrasound that translated into the human linguistic database as Amy, and she had accepted this with mild amusement. She was 7 feet tall, her skin the blue-gray of deep ocean water, her 4 eyes arranged symmetrically around a narrow head. She had explored 43 planetary systems. She had cataloged 600 species. She had never once encountered a species that surprised her. She stepped out of the landing shuttle onto the surface of the northern Canadian tundra at 2:17 a.m. local time. The cold hit her like a wall. Not a metaphorical wall. A physical, total, immediate assault of atmospheric hostility that bypassed her thermal suit sensors and registered in her nervous system as something close to pain, which was unusual because the Vreth did not process pain the same way biological creatures did. She checked her suit's external thermometer. -51 Celsius. She stood very still for a moment. Her second-in-command, Drev, stumbled sideways out of the shuttle. "The atmosphere is crystallizing," he said, his translator struggling. "The moisture is freezing in the air itself." "Yes," Amy said carefully. "This is the planet they told us was weak." Amy did not answer immediately. She was watching the humans. There were 12 of them, standing in a rough line perhaps 40 meters away. They wore thick padded suits, yes, but the suits were not sealed environmental armor like the Vreth wore. They were layered clothing. Fabric. Some of them were breathing directly into the open air, exhaling clouds of vapor that froze and drifted away in the wind. One of them, the tallest, appeared to be not wearing gloves. Amy activated her universal translator and stepped forward. The tall human stepped forward to meet her. Jack's hands were cold. They were always cold in weather like this. He had learned, over many years, to stop caring. He looked up at the alien, genuinely looked up, because she was nearly a foot taller than him even without accounting for the ceremonial crest on her helmet, and felt a simple, uncomplicated calm. "You picked a hell of a season to visit," he said. The alien's translator hummed. "We chose your northern exposure for its openness. Our sensors indicated minimal human habitation." "Yeah," Jack said. "That's because even we don't like it up here in January." Amy tilted her head. Her eyes blinked in sequence. "Then you find this environment hostile as well?" "Extremely," Jack said. "It will absolutely kill you if you're unprepared." A pause. "And yet," Amy said slowly, "your species survives here." "We don't just survive." Jack gestured behind him, toward the distant glow of the nearest town, a mining settlement, barely 2,000 people, sitting comfortably in the dark at 50 below. "We live here. We built roads here. We laid pipelines here. We play hockey here. He paused. That last one's a sport. Played on frozen water. We invented bladed shoes to skate across it faster. Amy processed this. You made the ice useful. We made everything useful. Jack's voice was calm, almost gentle. That's the thing about humanity that I don't think your surveys captured. We don't just adapt to hostile environments. We exploit them. Every place that should have killed us. The Arctic, the desert, the deep ocean, the tops of mountains where the air is too thin to breathe. We planted flags. We built stations. We had children there. Amy was quiet for a long moment. Around her, she could hear her crew making sounds of distress. Drev had retreated into the shuttle. 2 others were crouched near the heating vents on the ship's exterior hull. Jack's team stood motionless in the wind. Your biology? Amy said finally. The survey data indicated fragility. High susceptibility to trauma. Soft tissue. No natural armor. Correct. Then how? We break, Jack said simply. We get hurt. We get frostbitten. We get sick. We lose toes. He held up his right hand, and in the pale blue light of the alien ship, Amy could see that the smallest finger was slightly shorter than it should be, the tip gone, an old scar smoothed white by years. Kandahar, 2019. Thought I was going to lose the whole hand. Didn't. He lowered the hand. The difference between your species and mine, he said, isn't that we don't suffer. It's that we keep going anyway. Pain doesn't stop us. Cold doesn't stop us. Starvation, disease, war. We've had all of it, in quantities that would have wiped out most species. And every time, we adapted. We learned. We built something better. The wind screamed across the tundra. Snow crystals hissed against Amy's suit. Jack didn't flinch. You called our planet weak, he said. I'd like to respectfully suggest that you confuse the planet with us. He turned slightly and looked up at the fleet hanging in the sky. 40 vessels, enormous, silver, ancient. Your ships are impressive. Your technology is probably centuries ahead of ours. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. He looked back at her. But you sent scouts to the coldest place on the coldest night of our coldest season to show us how outmatched we are. And your crew is retreating to the heaters while mine is standing in the wind having a conversation. Amy looked back at her ship. Drev waved apologetically from behind the sealed viewport. She turned back to Jack. We have conquered 40 worlds, she said. I believe you, he said. Were any of them inhabited by something that voluntarily wintered in a place like this? Long silence. No, Amy admitted. Then with respect, Jack said, you've never encountered anything like us. The Vreth Collective remained in orbit for 11 days. During that time, Amy met with human representatives across 6 continents, in scorching deserts, on mountainsides above the cloud line, in cities built below sea level, in research stations on the Antarctic ice shelf where scientists cheerfully offered her coffee and showed her penguin photographs. On the 11th day, she requested a closed session with the UN Security Council. Her message to the collective was brief. Recommend reclassification of species 7-441H. Current designation, negligible biological threat. Recommended new designation. Do not engage without full council authorization. Species demonstrates environmental resilience outside projected parameters. Cultural response to adversity is atypical. They do not flee hardship. They name it, study it, and move in. She paused before transmitting. Then she added one more line. They made hot beverages specifically designed for cold weather, and they share them with strangers. I don't fully understand this. I think that's the point. Jack was back in Colorado when the fleet broke orbit and drifted toward the outer system. He watched them go on a monitor, coffee in hand. Black, no sugar, still slightly too hot. He took a sip anyway. Outside, it was snowing. He didn't mind.